you know.
Okay, so how would this work in the long run, or at the end of the whole drama that we're seeing happening between the PDP, the APC, and then we have NIM coming through also, and former President Olusegun Obasanjo talking about the CN. How will this work out? Because you cannot manufacture politicians; they're existing already.
Yes.
Will they move from the existing parties, for instance, to form a conglomerate in NIM?
Well, as you can see, there's all kinds of movement, crisscrossing, carpet crossing, and that's been ongoing. Okay, so we're starting off as a project of intellectualizing the whole process, of bringing people to understanding of where we are and where we need to be going. And so NIM will proceed on that footing to educate. And then, of course, as time goes on, and because we're a body of all kinds of opinion, we anticipate that others will join us, but they have to be redeemed, because what we're talking about here is a new Nigeria, a modern state with all the appertaining technologies and everything that has to work, because this is 21st century. We're doing business as if we're back in the 18th century.
So you're looking for redeemed politicians?
We want to redeem the country. And therefore we need our politicians to see that it's more than them. It's not personal. It concerns a nation.
It's regardless of party.
It has no party affiliation. It's just national interest.
And you'll have people run for office?
Well, at the appropriate time, if we have that kind of exposure, and Nigerians are now beginning to see that they have to employ people who will work on their behalf, because that's where it's going to. It has to be about the people.
Okay. Ajuri's been thinking about this too. He's got a question. Ajuri.
Who's Ajuri?
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Ekwuyasi, the question I have for you is when you look at kind of history up to this point, and you look at some of the political actors who have now held sway in all parts of the country, across the country, regardless of political party. These are people who benefited in large part from free state education, who benefited from Nigerian-sponsored scholarships abroad, who came back to the country and, of course, governed and, in many cases, maladministered the country. Now, sir, if we're talking about a third force, a legitimate one that's coming up, what is your strategy? What is the strategy of your movement in terms of ensuring that you're able to secure grassroots support, grassroots influence, which has been monopolized by political actors with state resources? How do you now get that grassroots support, that grassroots influence, in the absence of a compromise with these same political actors? You say that you're bringing a contrasting administration from.
Thank you. Very good question there. You see, we're not condemning totally everything that has happened in Nigeria. I believe that we have to use some of the past and the present to create this new future that we talk about. And so we're not going to condemn people and parties for what has transpired. You know, yes, we hold them responsible for where we are today, but in the new dispensation, the one that NIM is talking about, there has to be a coming together of all people, because we all have one common destiny, okay? And we know that we're going wrong. So how do we right it? How do we put it back to even keel, to rebuild this country so that every one person can feel a part of it? Okay, I heard the other gentleman trying to explain why a certain section is more amenable to you know, taking people from their own side and so on, the so-called parochialism and the rest of it. Yeah, I mean, look at what's going on in America. Okay, Mr. Trump is basically...
Mr. Ekwuyasi,
yes.
Mr. Ekwuyasi, let me just come in here, because I want to ask you a very direct question. You know, when you talk about, you're saying that you're not going to condemn the past, that you're not going to make it personal or about political parties of the past, etc., etc. Now, if the idea is that you're going to essentially work with some of the same individuals who have brought the country to this situation, the question is, can you compromise with them to build a third force and still expect that they will not have expectations in terms of what their returns will be if you are able to secure power? How do you get their support without having to yield to the same end results that we've seen in the past?
Well, thank you again. This is why we talk about voter voter power. And this is why NIM is so interested to contest, if you want, at appropriate time, if that be the case, that we're going to go to the ballot. And that's where the decisions are going to be made concerning going forward. And that's why we're going to enlighten Nigerians, especially the people, because that's where the power lies. The people have to come together and say, yes, we need to be moving forward. We're tired of all of these people. But again, some of these gentlemen that you're mentioning are still, they're leaders within their own right.